What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about things about the United States that make no sense. And I guess you could even say these are things we do here in America that are dumb. So today, I really want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, aside from politics, that's an important distinction, by the way, because I think we could go down a whole rabbit hole. We could do a whole video about American politics. But aside from politics, what are the most confusing parts of the United States of America? So, as an American, I am really, really interested to hear more about this. Honestly, I really think growing up here in the United States, far away from Europe and the rest of the world here in America, in our sort of bubble, we just kind of assume that the way that we do things is normal. And we probably don't question how we do things here in America nearly enough. So today, I really want to see what people around the world have to say are the most confusing, strange, dumb things about the United States and how we do stuff. So let's take a look here, starting with this is the top comment. It says, in the United States, the driving age is 16. That's true. You can even get your driver's learner's permit at 15. You can join the army and buy a gun when you're 18. That's also true. You can buy a beer when you're 21. WTF. WTF indeed. This is actually really, really true. And funny enough, here in the United States, sometimes amongst ourselves, we even question this. We talk about this a little bit, especially when you turn 16 and you're like, wait, I can drive this car, this death trap on wheels, this giant hunk of metal. I can have the responsibility of driving that around, but I can't buy or consume alcohol. Or you could take it a step further, and even if you're like, all right, that makes sense, you can join the Army, the United States military, and you can buy a gun. You can literally buy a gun in the United States. That's absolutely true. You can buy them at Walmart half the time in the gun section. At the age of 18, you can go fight and die for your country, but you can't buy alcohol or consume it. With none of it really makes any sense. And we do talk about this a little bit, and then we just kind of throw our hands up and stop worrying about it because we feel like it's not going to change. I don't think in American politics, there's so much madness and craziness going on and so many different things people are arguing about. Trying to bring up the topic of, hey, let's lower the age of consuming alcohol. Good luck. Good luck gaining any traction around that cause of all the causes. People are like, what? You want people under 21 to drink? To become inebriated, drunk? How could you? Now go buy a gun and kill somebody and join the army. Because you can do that for some reason, but you can't drink. And I was also going to say it's kind of funny because when you go to university or college in the United States, that's literally known as the place where you drink and consume alcohol and go to parties. And we all know that no American has ever drank under the age of 21. Yeah, okay, yeah, never. No, never in history. Yeah. If anything, If anything, the drinking age here just encourages every American to break the law at some point. Yeah, that is a good one, and that deserves to be really high on this list. That is a confusing part about the United States, even to us Americans, truly. But we just kind of accept it for what it is, I guess. What's another thing about the United States that is kind of dumb? How are you guys still holding on to the imperial system? Oh yeah, yeah. It's mind-boggling, honestly. This is so funny because I get what this video is going to kind of be from my point of view as an American. This is stuff that Americans, we sometimes like gain consciousness and self-awareness, and we're like, wait, why can we all buy guns when we're 18? And why, but we can't drink? And why don't we use the metric system? And then we immediately slink back into our normal state. And we're like, whatever, who cares? I guess that's the way it is. Because we do think about this stuff sometimes. I remember in high school, you have to get all the way to high school in America. You have to be like 15, 16 years old and go to like chemistry class or something, or some science class, and that is the first time you're finally introduced to this thing called the metric system. And you're like, what? That's what I've heard of a centimeter before. That's what it is? Oh, and meters? Meters? Kilometers? Wait, what? Millimeters? Like liters? What is all this? And it's all in multiples of 10, and it like kind of blew my mind a little bit. And in America, you associate the metric system with science class. That's the only time we use it. It's like this thing that you have to learn for school. And in daily life, we're talking about stuff in miles and inches and yards and gallons, and that is what we grow up knowing. And it's very comfortable and normal to us. But I didn't know for the longest time how strange the United States is in this regard. We're strange for a lot of reasons, but in this regard, around the imperial system, I think we're one of the only countries who really stick to this and use it. One of the only countries for sure that solely uses this. I think Canada uses like a mixture of metric and imperial. They're at least using both. In America, we're just, well, sometimes we sell soda in liters. That's true. Of course it would take soda for us to care about the metric system. It's mind-boggling, very true. I think we should change this, but it's a lot like the legal age of drinking in America. I don't know any politician that's going to run on that, or how our government is ever going to care about changing these types of things when there's so much other like important things to worry about. But I agree. This is something we should change. As much as I kind of have a sentimental attachment to inches and yards and feet and miles, and I'm used to that, I think for the greater good of our society and just science and like being able to communicate with the rest of the planet basically better, we should use the metric system. I mean, other countries have done the change, right? We tried to switch and failed multiple times. I didn't know that. We did. In the Reagan presidency, there was a law that passed it, but it was not mandatory. We should make that mandatory. Like, Americans will be so upset at first, but if enough, I think it's the best for us, and the whole system just makes a lot more sense if I didn't make that clear. The metric system makes way more sense. Obviously, that's the whole point of using it. Like, anyway, I'm not fighting against that one. Yeah, these are so far, so far, in a shocking twist of events, I can't even argue against these criticisms of the US. These make sense. If I had $1 in my wallet, I can't afford a hamburger that costs $1. Just include your taxes in the price. This is something I didn't know was weird about the United States. I guess in other parts of the world, you include the tax in the sticker price, in the price that you see on the item. That makes a lot of sense. And here in America, the reason we don't do this, as far as I can tell, is for deception. It's so you can label items in America. I don't know if you guys do this in other parts of the world, but in America, a lot of things, if you have some bananas, it's going to be priced at $1.99. $1.99, not $2, not $2.06 or whatever the tax is. $1.99. All the way up, as close as you can get to 2, but not, because it is a psychological marketing tactic to make, and apparently the studies show this must work, because in America, everything is priced with 99 at the end. If you want to buy a computer, it'll be $999.99, because you don't want to see the number 1,000, because that's a lot of money. 999, well, okay, it's under $1,000, but then, and they can only do that because they don't have to put the tax in the price, and then the tax puts it like easily over $1,000 anyway, but somehow it tricks our mind into being okay with it, and yeah, maybe us Americans are just kind of easily swayed by the marketing, or that's all I know about our stupid lack of tax in the sticker price. Yes, anyway, $1 doesn't actually buy you a dollar hamburger like on the dollar menu at McDonald's. You need like $1.07 or something. That's absolutely true. In America, we do not think about this at all. This is a fact of life. Most Americans don't know in other parts of the world you include tax in the price, and that it's annoying to come here and pay a little extra that's not made like clear on the actual price of the item. We're just used to doing the math in our head a little bit, or we're like I just assume it's going to cost a bit more than what it says. And when I think about that, that's really dumb. Like, why are we doing that? It's literally just deception for yeah. But talking about stuff that's never going to change, and I truly believe is not going to change in America, but it's interesting to hear about how there's all these things that are really silly when I think about it, that the rest of the world doesn't seem to do. Like we don't have to be this way. Okay, let's keep going though. This is very interesting to me. In America, the thank you for your service and glorification of the military. So is that considered strange? I don't know too much about this. In Europe or other parts of the world, how much do you celebrate your military members? I assume in other countries, if people, join the military and serve your country, and you have veterans, and that you guys celebrate them. You congratulate them. You have pride in that. I think that's reasonable to assume. Perhaps here in America, we just take it to another level. I don't know. Here in the United States, this is something I'm used to. There's a lot of restaurants and stores that offer discounts to veterans, people in the military. They get lots of discounts, lots of benefits. Sometimes they get special parking spaces. And yeah, there's oftentimes signs that are like thanking our military. Thank you for your service. Just like they're saying. Oops, where'd it go? Here we go. Thank you for your service. That's a common thing in America. Maybe we take it too far. I don't really have a huge problem with this. You can definitely like criticize or debate about how the United States uses our military, but not going too deep, not thinking about this too deeply as far as just Americans who serve in our military. I thank them for their service. Like, I don't have a big problem with that. Maybe it's like, do we do this more than other countries? I don't know. Puritan attitudes towards sex and nudity. Yeah! Yeah! Why do we. I want to get rid of this! More sex and nudity! More sex and nudity! Come on! Finally, something we can agree on! No, I think I've agreed on most of the stuff that we're talking about here today, but here we go. Yes, in the American culture, it's very strange what is acceptable and what is not. You can hypersexualize things to a really, really far point, but no nudity. And then in movies, films, and TV, we don't tend to show much sex and nudity on a lot of stuff, but we do show a lot of violence and death and guns and like drugs. We have no problem with that stuff, but we have this attitude towards sex and nudity being kind of taboo. That is true. That's just an American culture thing. I don't even know why or how that happened, but it did. Gun culture. Sure, sure. Certainly the gun laws in the United States are pretty ridiculous. Somehow, I mean, yeah. Like we are saying, at the age of 18, you can start to try to get one. You don't really have to pass any kind of safety exam or competency test. I think often, depending on what state you're in, they'll do a background check or something, maybe. But you can walk out with your first gun, like the day after your 18th birthday, and nobody's really going to give you much of a hard time in accomplishing that. That's a scary thought, I think, for a lot of people. In America, we are just kind of used to it. And I don't know. It's obviously resulted in a lot of gun violence and gun deaths and mass shootings in America. So we've definitely had that really negative effect. And maybe with gun culture, you're just talking about like the idolization of guns and just like Americans holding it to such high esteem and treasuring our right to bear guns so highly. Maybe that's the thing that a lot of Europeans think is really strange. And maybe that is strange. You know, growing up in the United States, it's just something that's always kind of been there for me. I don't feel like I am in danger of being shot by or in danger of other Americans around me, even though I know they can own guns and I know they can carry guns if they have permits to carry it. I'm aware of all that fact, but I don't feel like I am in danger. Maybe that's just because I find myself in a position where, like based on where I live, like I don't feel like I'm in danger. But there's definitely parts of the United States and cities that you do feel more like that are higher crime, that you feel more in danger. It kind of depends on where you live in the United States, how much you are scared of guns. Maybe that seems strange to Europeans, that we can have such an open gun laws where everyone can get them, but not live in constant fear of it. I don't know how to explain it. I guess if you just live here long enough and you never, like I've gone my entire life as an American, never interacting with anyone ever pulling out a gun. Ever. And I know for a fact, lots of people own guns where I live. But I've never seen anyone out in public having them, or let alone using them. So, I don't know. I think that's a tough one for me, because I think my American brain really is wired to have accepted our gun culture, which probably is not a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Lack of universal health care. This could just go on and on and on. We're hitting some of the big topics here now. Yes, I'm glad this came up right here at the end. Yeah, I've talked about this before. This is also something a lot of Americans we complain about, talk about, but we accept this as just a fact of living in America. Healthcare, medical healthcare insurance, having to worry about having it. Most Americans get it through their work. If you don't have healthcare insurance, or if your healthcare insurance isn't very good and it doesn't cover everything that you need, you can end up absolutely ruining your entire life by breaking your arm or, God forbid, getting cancer or some kind of illness that requires complicated treatment. God, I think for enough Americans have adequate healthcare insurance that most of our healthcare needs are met, and we are just used to paying that extra. The healthcare insurance covers most of the cost, most of the time. That's the best way of putting it. But those times where it doesn't, you are so screwed out of your mind and you can just be bankrupt and in debt forever. And should that be a thing in the United States? What is even the point of us having created our government and our systems and our hospitals? What's the point of it all if we don't all have access to health care and quality of life in that way, and we don't have that assurance that we can get it? It's always a question when you go to the hospital or the emergency room. There's always this doubt in your mind, like, how much is the bill gonna be that we get in the mail later? Because they're not even transparent about how much everything costs. If you go to the hospital, good luck being like, how much did that shot of morphine cost? The nurse would just be like, I don't know. Like, what? Just, we're trying to save your life here. And uh, and you feel like, I don't know, maybe I would have turned that down if I knew it was gonna cost me $4,000 later. Like, maybe I would have just sat here through the pain. I don't like. It is so sad that that is even a thought some Americans have to have. Yeah, this is as dumb as it sounds. I totally agree with this. The only thing I'll say about this is, if you're an American and you happen to be really wealthy and rich, you're in a great place, because as long as you have the money, we have great healthcare services and great doctors and medicine and treatment. We have some of the best in the world. And if you can afford it, you can get it really quickly and really well done. But most Americans are not super rich, and I think like 50% or more Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, or some crazy stat. Like 70% of Americans don't have $1,000 of an emergency budget. If something goes wrong, your car breaks down, you break your leg, or whatever, most Americans don't even have $1,000 for an emergency. So in a world where we have this crazy healthcare insurance system, that's really bad for us. So I agree. That's a super dumb thing about the U.S. So anyway, I think with that, I think we barely scratched the surface on this. We could talk about this for a long time, but this was really eye-opening. And I think as an American, this is good for Americans to think more about. We don't have to do things just because it's the way we've always done it. We can change. We can do things like how Europeans do some things, or we can at least learn about how we can other countries do things. And yeah, crazy concept. I really got a lot out of this. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on things about America that make no sense. That'd be fun to hear about, actually. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.